Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our second installment of the Cincy Source Forum, part of our Foundation Forums for Blindness series. I am Andrew Kim, the Professional Outreach Coordinator at the Foundation Fighting Blindness, the global leader in driving retinal disease research. So, as I just mentioned, this is our second installment of the Cincy Source Forum, and we're super excited to share a new lineup of organizations this evening that service the blind and low vision community. The Cincy Source is a wonderful opportunity for professionals such as yourself and the Cincinnati and surrounding areas to showcase and highlight various services and resource opportunities for those in the blind and low vision community. And although our forums are primarily focused on ensuring professionals are aware of each other in your markets and your services, but we certainly encourage anyone on this call to share this information with professionals, patients, or even clients that you work with. As a reminder, these forums are held quarterly, so you can expect our next forum to be announced for sometime in February of next year. These meetings are also recorded and will be posted on our Cincy Source website, which can be found in the Foundation Fighting Blindness website at www.fightingblindness.org/foundation/forums, and it'll be under the Cincy Source tab. So to kick off this call, I would like to first introduce our founding team members, which as of right now, we have two of the three. The founding members were all, of course, instrumental in setting up the Cincy Source Forum, and we're so grateful for their participation in getting this forum off the ground. And, I'd just like to give maybe a minute of time to each of the founding members that are on the call to introduce themselves and maybe share their connection with the foundation. So Jim or Lisa, feel free to kind of jump in and just introduce yourself there.
Lisa, go right ahead.
He always does this to me.
Sure.
I'm Lisa Kemp. I am the resources chair for the local Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky chapter of the Foundation Fighting Blindness. I've been volunteering with the chapter now for probably about 6 years, I guess. I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa when I was 19. And as my vision deteriorated, I learned about the different resources that were available, and I took advantage of everyone that I could. And I truly believe in resources, and I believe that they are the reason why I was able to have such a successful professional career. And I retired now, but I have had and still have a very successful and highly functional personal life. That's it.
Well, thank you, Lisa. Very humble, but Lisa's also really instrumental in professional outreach for the foundation. So thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
I'm Jim Sherk. I am the vice president of our local chapter of the Foundation Fighting Blindness. I also have retinitis pigmentosa. Was diagnosed about 27 years ago, and it was really due to that experience that I've gotten energized about professional outreach and being involved with sharing resources, because I left that initial appointment, walked in with 20/20 vision with contacts or glasses, walked out with a diagnosis that I would lead to blindness and not much else. Didn't walk out with any hope, didn't walk out with any resources, really not about anything. So that was a while ago, but sadly, that experience or something similar happens way too often today. So I'm glad to be able to connect people in whatever way we can to help them navigate. And even that's just talking to someone that's going through the same thing that they are. So anyway, glad to be part of this group.
Alrighty, well, thanks, Jim. And Jim is also another important part of the foundation volunteer team. So we appreciate you, Jim, for all the work that you do for us. So, well, thank you both for introducing yourselves to everyone. And well, with that, we can move on to our presentations for this evening. So just as a kind of a quick reminder of the format for this evening, each of our presenters will have about 5 to 7 minutes to highlight who they are and what their organization offers to the blind and low vision community. We'll try to hold all the questions for the end. We have a dedicated Q&A time just just for the sake of time. But feel free, however, to type in any of the questions that might just come up in the chat, or just kind of keep them in mind and ask them during our Q&A portion at the end of our presentations. So with that, let's kick things off with Nick Mendler, president of iSpy Foundation. iSpy is a digital directory connecting individuals in the blind and low vision community to essential resources and services aimed at improving their quality of life. Nick, please tell us more about iSpy.
Thank you, Andrew. Always a great introduction since we've done this once before here in Jacksonville. I think I think you guys teed me up pretty good, Lisa and Jim, both pretty much sharing what I'm leading into. So again, for the people that were late or not on the preliminary call there, I grew up at Kings, so I'm from Cincinnati, and I currently live in Jacksonville, Florida. We came down here for school after high school and moved around a little bit, and yeah, so I was diagnosed. I'll go into my kind of what I call my MySpy story, but really it is a story that I've kind of already heard so far in the call. I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa when I was 16, and similar to Jim, you know, my mom and I went into the doctor's office, just a normal optometrist type of, you know, visit, and then, you know, you get diagnosed with something that's going to change the rest of your life, and it's progressive, and essentially you walk out of there with an appointment in 6 months, and you know, a handshake and a pamphlet, and good luck. You know, to me, the reason why I built iSpy.org, which is spelled EYESPY .org, and I put it in the chat there for everybody, is because I think there is a huge gap, as Jim alluded to, between, you know, diagnoses and lifestyle. And I think, you know, the call today, and here in Jacksonville, we have a similar kind of coalition that Andrew and Michelle have put together for FFB, which is amazing. But it's also a testament, I think, to our overall, you know, community, not just here in the US, but I'm sure globally as well. But as Andrew said, so iSpy.org really, as it stands right now, is a massive directory, a one-stop shop, if you will, for all of our resources in one place. I think we have amazing individuals with humongous hearts that are doing, you know, great work in all the different elements that will help us along, you know, our own kind of low vision journeys. And what I've been a technologist for almost 2 decades now, and I just kind of thought, hey, there's got to be a website for this. You know, after going to a symposium, I lived in Denver for a while, was a chapter leader there at FFB. And I was like, there's got to be a website for this. And just found out there really wasn't. I mean, there's kind of here and there, but there wasn't anything dedicated to us specifically. And so essentially what iSpy.org now is and I think I can say this, is the largest digital directory devoted to the blind and low vision community. And so it has kind of everything on there. The 4 main parts are the directory, which is kind of the heart of it, which will have everything from our nonprofits, our chapters, individual chapters like FFB Cincy or Columbus or JAX, along with the national organization. But it also has all the other elements, you know, the guide dogs, the Braille Institute, you know, pretty much anything on government institutes. It'll have hospitals and physicians and things in the coming time. But the directory is really the heart where people can go to kind of find what their local resources are. I've created state pages at this point, so every state will have its own resources as well. There's over 800 plus in there right now. And again, it's kind of, I soft launched it in February to take it to Visions Conference, which we went to and presented at a booth there. We really got a lot of great feedback on what it is and what we're doing. And really the only question we had was to hear other people's stories and what they need. And I think we heard a gambit of different things, whether it was, you know, I need genetic testing, I need to find physicians, I need therapy, I need adaptive sports stuff, I need community groups. All of these things are part of the way that we live. Whether it's retinal disease or somebody else that came into low vision, not because of retinal disease, because there's a lot of other ways. So the directory is kind of that main heart. And then obviously we have events. So I'm actually, they're doing a vision walk right now call in Jacksonville here. So we have vision walk as well. We have a golf tournament as well. Like all of the things that we have are happening across the entire US. And I think it's important that people understand that and that they're not alone, obviously, in the fight. So events will be there. You'll find a news page. So that essentially is in real time pulling in blog articles and things from all of the resources that are in the directory that I can grab. It was kind of funny because I was featured on my own site from the First Coast YouTube thing that came in. But there will be a news section. It has all sorts of different topics, just like a news section with science and sports and all of that. And then the modern twist is the media section, which will have everything from apps, podcasts, YouTube, groups. And again, this is just the start because there are literally thousands of resources to us and available to us. We've got, 30 plus podcasts, et cetera, et cetera. So that is kind of what iSpy.org is today. And kind of since I've last talked to Jacksonville and going to visions and talking to people like Lisa and Ethan, I think the biggest thing that I realized is how rich we are on a city basis. So my new direction now is to really take iSpy and then create an iSpy Lite for city by city. And so what I'm doing now is doing a campaign called Unpack Jax. And that's essentially taking all of our local resources here, which I've got 50 plus just in Jacksonville, and then creating kind of a city hub of iSpy. So that's kind of the next direction. And I think it'll be better in the way that I can personalize it for a particular geographic location. And then the other part of that, once we get sponsorship and everything, is that I want to pair that with a navigator, is essentially that human to human connection in between all of the resources and, the actual person on the other end. Because I think as much as it's great to just give people directories, I think people still need navigation in the sense of like, where are you in your life? What do you need? What are you looking for? Because everybody's a little different. My half brother has RP2 and he didn't really want to talk about it till the last 5 years, and he's 10 years older than me. So that's where I am with iSpy. That's where I am with iSpy Jax and kind of that next direction, which again, we can have a Cincy hub and a Columbus hub in the future. And the other thing that I wanted to say, because I know we're running out of time, is that I will be up in Ohio for all of November, visiting family for Thanksgiving and everything. So whether it's Cincy, Columbus, or Cleveland, I'd love to sit down with anybody that's interested. Happy to demo the site, happy to talk through how it could work in another city, because every city is unique. So anyways, that is iSpy. I will get off because I know there's lots of other speakers, but I appreciate the time and look forward to questions at the end.
Alrighty, well, thank you, Nick. And, it's such a great idea. And it's kind of something that we've also been trying to do with the foundation forums as well, to be like this one-stop shop for all resources related to the blind and low vision community. So awesome to hear about all the advancements that you made in such a short amount of time, Nick. And we look forward to, all the great things that your organization will do. So with that, let us move on to our next presentation. Our next presenter is Fred Neurohr, the ophthalmology program coordinator at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Cincinnati Children's is one of the nation's best rated children's hospitals. So Fred, please tell us more about Cincinnati Children's and what services they offer for children in the blind and low vision community.
Happy to. Thanks, Andrew. Two things. Let's see, Nick, when you're in town, I'd love to grab a coffee with you. I live over by Cincinnati State, North Side, and Lisa, I couldn't help but notice the Cleveland baseball team in the background. I'm a Mets fan, so I'll make you a deal. You root for the Mets, I'll root for the Guardians, if that's all right.
Okay, yeah, it's my husband's shrine, and it's hard for me to get rid of it before every Zoom. But yes, all right, that's a deal.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Thanks for the introduction, Andrew. The Cincinnati Children's ophthalmology program has more patient touches than any other program, any other practice within the hospital. I get to work with that small subset of kiddos who are blind or low vision. Most of the work that we do is outside of the four walls of the hospital, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. Within the four walls of the hospital, we run an interdisciplinary low vision program that's very unique in the sense that once a kiddo is referred to us, right? And we have CVI clinics and we have straight sort of low vision clinics. CVI being the leading cause of blindness and low vision in children. For the low vision program, well, both actually, we bring together a bunch of different folks to get together, work with the kiddo one-on-one, no lab coats, no stethoscopes, no puffer machines, no eye drops. We're really there to make, to figure out what makes the kid's vision tick and how to get the most out of their usable vision. And by doing that, we have an ophthalmologist or an optometrist and a tech. In the room also is a teacher of students with visual impairment, an O&M specialist, occupational therapy person, and if the kiddo has a TVI in their school, we invite them in either in person or online to sort of create this closed loop system. So we're not relying on anybody to read our reports, although we think our reports are pretty spiffy. We sort of write them together as a team, but it becomes this closed circuit thing with the students' TVI and the parents and everybody sort of working together. So that's what happens in the hospital. We have 9 sort of half-day clinics per month. The CVI clinics are held at Cincinnati Children's. The low vision clinics are held at the Clovenook Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired in North College Hill. And if you don't know them, they are the world's leading producer of Braille by number of pages each year. And through them, we get to do our low vision clinics. My voice. We have developed an adaptive sports and leisure program. I was the person who brought the first blind and low vision adaptive sports sleepaway camp to the area. I got training with Capabilities in Western New York State and built the program here. And we just had our 2nd year at Miami University, and it was terrific. Within that programming, we basically, part of the inspiration for the programming is we know we can't fix the kids' vision, right? It's not a matter of refractive error or surgery or drugs or whatever. So our charge is figuring out what else can we do? What else might we do to raise the quality of life for these students and their families? We see kids from 3 to 21. Sometimes beyond that, if the kiddo is in college or in a career or a job, we want to stay supportive. So to that end, we have this adaptive sports and leisure program, which takes our kids into onto ski lifts, into boxing gyms, onto tennis courts. And you can imagine the kind of sales job I have to do with families when I say, hey, your child who can't see, we want to put some boxing gloves on them. And, just working out with bags and stuff. There's no hand-to-hand combat there. But we also do accessible technology. We have a program coming together about how to use accessible features on iPads, stuff like that. There's also some transition work going on, helping kids transition in and out of high school. Self-advocacy work. We just started discussions about a disability passport to encourage positive conversation about one's disability. And probably the coolest thing I ever did was I got together with some folks at Penn State. Sorry for the Ohio State people on the call. There was a art professor who did sculpture. She connected with the engineering department. So Their setup is a sighted person with an oculus and a blind person doing sculpture in the air. The sighted person can see what the blind or low vision artist is doing, communicate to them. And then in the end, the whole thing is 3D printed. And we had a really great exhibition at the Contemporary Arts Center. When I picked these things up at Penn State, I just knew right away they were special. So as a program, we deliver what I think is top-notch interdisciplinary rehabilitation to kids and families, and connections to things in the community as well to enhance quality of life.
All righty, Fred. That was awesome. I didn't realize there were such comprehensive services, especially for, children's programs. So it's really important, at least, and it's kind of dear to my heart, because in our professional outreach group, we have the pillars of knowledge, community, and hope. And hope to me is like that foundation. And to start giving hope to families at such a young age is so important, especially like you said, like this is going to be for the rest of their lives potentially. And since technology and research hasn't really caught up yet, we got to do what we can now to ensure a better quality of life. So absolutely.
And there's a counseling piece too, right? Because ableism isn't just in the community and in the world. It exists within families.
Sure.
When you
Absolutely.
talk to kids who are 14 and 15, when you want to make cupcakes with them and they've never cracked an egg before, it makes you really think. So yeah, thank you.
It's all those small details that, we forget about, but that's just as important as well.
Yep.
Right. Well, thanks again, Fred. And let's move on to our next presentation this evening. The next presentation is from Jamie Massey, Director of Training at Pilot Dogs. And Pilot Dogs is an organization that provides expertly trained guide dogs, orientation and mobility training, and other valuable services free of charge to the blind and low vision community. So, Jamie, please tell us more about Pilot Dogs.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate being invited to be on this panel today because I'm taking in a lot of the other resources as well, jotting them down. I'm really excited to check out ispy.org. But as you said, my name's Jamie. I'm with Pilot Dogs. Pilot Dogs has been around since 1950. We are accredited through the International Guide Dog Federation as well as Assistance Dogs International. So I always suggest for people, if they're applying or looking into getting a guide dog, if they're not getting one from Pilot Dogs, I always say to get one from an accredited school, and you can always find those by going to igdf.org, International Guide Dog Federation. You can just Google it and it'll pop right up. But we do provide guide dogs for individuals who are declared legally blind. And then we also require to apply for a guide dog that you've had orientation and mobility training. If you have not, that's totally fine. We have an orientation mobility specialist on staff. So the orientation and mobility course is about 2 weeks, where someone would come out and live at our campus and work with our specialist for those 2 weeks. The room, food, laundry service, all of that is provided at no cost. We also we'll do reimbursement for travel to and from the school. So we usually purchase the plane ticket because we do serve all of the United States. So we're located in Columbus, Ohio, but we accept people from all around and we'll fly you out. And even if someone's within driving distance, if they decide to have someone drive them up, we will even reimburse for mileage and gas. So we really want to make sure that everyone has access to come out to our school. The guide dog program is about a it's 17 days, almost 3 weeks, with the same thing. You would come out to our facility, and we cover that cost while you're here. We have Chef Shelby that makes the most amazing food. She feeds all of the staff as well. It's great food. I think I've put on a few pounds since working at Pilot Dogs. But our course with the guide dogs are about 17 days, and we take it really slow, and then just kind of build up confidence with the new dog as you go. All of our training is done one-on-one in the very beginning. So our class sizes for one instructor can be like 3 or 4 students. But especially for that first week or so, every training walk, it'll just be, the individual and the instructor, because every school's a little different. Some schools will do kind of bigger group walks, but we really like that one-on-one. So to apply for a guide dog at our school, or even, like I said, the orientation mobility training, you would just either call or go to our website, which is pilotdogs.org. But we'll start the application process. I also wanted to mention, so to qualify for our guide dog program, you do have to be 16 years old and up and older. But it's not on our website yet, but I'm really excited about it. And if anyone's interested in it, a phone call will kind of get you into the system for it. But we are starting a buddy dog program. So this program is for anyone under 16 years of age, and it's kind of like a guide dog readiness program. The only thing about this one is that they do have to live in Ohio, because we would place a dog. It's not a guide dog. It's not a service dog, but we would place a dog with the minor child, and start the process of learning how to care for the dog, canine communication, training, like kind of training methods. And the idea behind that is so that when they do become 16, 17 years old, that's usually as they're, applying for a guide dog, they're going to be looking at college and all of that stuff, hopefully, or kind of what they're doing in the future. And we want them to have a good understanding of what it is to have a dog, care for a dog, because I think it'll really help with that decision making of if that timing is good, to have a guide dog at that time. As well as, I've had students come in to get a guide dog that had been blind since birth and never really interacted with a dog in their childhood. So it was just a huge learning curve for them. So the buddy dog program is a way to kind of get ahead of that curve, so they can come in and, be better guide dog users because of it. So I'm really excited about that program as well. I think I'm gonna try and stay within my time slot. I could talk about pilot dogs and guide dogs forever, but thanks for having me here tonight.
Alrighty, Jamie. Well, thank you so much for telling us more about pilot dogs and telling us about this awesome new program, the Buddy Dog program, which I've never heard of before. That sounds like a really, really cool way of getting, preparing somebody for a guide dog, especially early on in their lives. So
Yeah.
super, super awesome to hear about that, actually. So, alrighty. So our next presentation this evening is from Mary Rue, the Vocational Rehabilitation Counselor at Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, or OOD. And OOD is a state agency of Ohio whose mission is to empower Ohioans with disabilities through employment, disability determination, and independence. So Mary, please tell us more about OOD.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I've been with the OOD for quite a while. Just a very small snippet about me. I have a little bit different visual disability than everyone else. I was born with hereditary cataracts, developed glaucoma in my 20s. Also have had some cornea issues. So have a lot of front of the eye issues going on. Came to Bureau of Services for the Visually Impaired due to job issues. And got an opportunity to internship with our agency. Went back a few years ago and got my master's to become a counselor. Started as a transition counselor working with high school students, and have transitioned into working with Bureau of Services for the Visually Impaired, or BSVI, and approximately a year and a half ago. Our agency works with anyone who's age 14 or older, can be in your 90s, doesn't matter if you are interested in work. We can assist you with that. A lot of people, when they're in high school, are a little confused as to services that we can provide. We are required by federal law, because we are actually part of the federal government and overseen by the Rehabilitation Services Administration. And there's as part of the Workforce Innovation Opportunities Act, or WIOA, we are required, and 14% of our budget is a set aside to provide transition services to students. And so we are required to go to IEP meetings and help with what they call pre-employment transition services, things like self-advocacy, workplace readiness, options for post-secondary education, are all things that we can provide trainings in or assist with. We also can offer a summer work experience. We worked very, very closely with another organization in Cincinnati. They already discussed Cloverneck, but we work very closely with Cincinnati Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, CABVI. And they actually have staff who can provide those trainings. And they also offer, at least the last couple of years, we're already starting to look at their third year. We're meeting in a couple of weeks. They provide a summer work experience, and they're specifically for students who are blind or visually impaired in the area. And they've been doing it. There's a picture behind me of the Museum Center in Cincinnati, and it's actually, that's where they do their work site at. So that's pretty cool. We also can offer opportunities to help students when they're graduating. If they're going on to college, we can help with that transition, because often in high school, the services that they receive through a TVI and the equipment accommodations that they receive are through the schools. They don't get to keep those things permanently. We can make those evaluations, get them computers if they need assistive technology such as Zoom Text, JAWS, Fusion, large screen monitors, video magnifiers, if they need orientation and mobility to learn a new campus, if they're going off to somewhere like Ohio State or something, we can provide that assistance. But we also do adult services. So if someone is job seeking, we can provide support with job search. We can provide coaching. So if someone, especially someone with a vision impairment, is needing to learn how to do something a little bit differently, can go in and help them with learning those tasks. Someone gets that guide dog from Pilot Dogs and they come home and they need to learn how to navigate in their community, catch the bus or get to the grocery store or whatever. We can actually, and they are working or they're looking for work, we can provide assistance with learning to navigate with their new guide dog. Unfortunately, we just can't pay for a guide dog, so that training. We also can provide a lot of assistance, and this is very big in the BSVI world. A lot of people come in and they are working, they just have had recent vision loss and they need that adaptive equipment, assistive technology to maintain their employment. So we definitely can provide that service. We also can do surgery. A lot of cataract surgeries is something that is very common for us. We also provide, and it's a little smaller section of our agency, but as someone is aging and they're over 55 and they have a certain acuity, usually legal blindness, so 2,200 or better, they can participate in a program called Independent Living Older Blind. A lot of those same services, low vision aids, magnifiers, video magnifiers, lighting, vision rehab therapy type things where they can get assistance in their home with bump dots or kitchen equipment, talking thermometers, whatever it is, blood pressure cups, whatever it is, orientation and mobility, talking books, but they're not looking for work. We actually can provide that as a service to someone who's older and blind, trying to maintain their independence in their home. That's all I got.
All righty, Mary. Well, thank you so much for that comprehensive overview of OOD. I know it's one of those state agencies that Michelle and I are always talking about, especially in the Midwest area. You guys do really good work, and we appreciate you guys for everything that you do for the blind and low vision community. Alrighty, so for our final presentation this evening, we have Sach Monga, a Director of Finance at Valley Transport. Valley Transport offers non-emergency, non-medical transportation services for those that do not have access to their own. So this is not exclusively for the blind and low vision community, but it is essential for those in the blind and low vision community to get to where they need to go. So Sach, please tell us more about Valley Transport.
Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everybody. Again, my name is Sach, and I am here on behalf of Valley Transport. Firstly, I would like to begin by saying I've been in this space and I did not know about half the resources mentioned today. So this is not only a great guide for me to have, but also to pass on to our clients. So thank you so much, Lisa, for even inviting me here.
You're welcome. I'm glad you could come.
Yes. A little bit about Valley Transport. We are a non-emergency medical transportation company. So essentially, we transport people to and from their doctor's appointments. They could be regular appointments, dialysis, pharmacy visits, basically anything that their insurance would cover. We're based out of 4 locations, but only in Ohio. So we cover about 200 miles between Cincinnati and Columbus. Majority of our work is through counties. So Montgomery, Allen, Hamilton, Warren, Madison, and Franklin. We work with these counties, but also most of our clients are either on Medicaid, Medicare, or come through Job and Family Services. I know we collaborate with OOD for a few of our clients, with Warren County Board of Developmental Disabilities, with elderly service programs. Essentially, anybody that needs a ride to get to their medical appointment, whatever kind of appointment that may be. We have a fleet of about 200 some vehicles, and they are wheelchair compliant, serving the population of Ohio. But we also work with children that are within the foster care system, that kids with special needs, after school programs, all of those things. I think one of the things that I truly enjoy about Valley is that we're not curb to curb. So we won't leave you just at the end of a plaza to figure your way in, especially if you're somebody who's visually impaired. We're a door-to-door service. And all of our drivers go through rigorous training and testing, and they receive the drive certificate to work with passengers with disabilities. And above all, they go through sensitivity training to deal with on the job, any situation that may come up. I think what gets me really going is that this is almost an essential service. A lot of people won't be able to get to their life-saving appointments like dialysis. So, however, everything I've said today is not why I'm here. I think Lisa found us because we also work with Warren County Transit. That is the side of Valley that does non-medical rides. So if you're a Warren County resident, we provide subsidized transportation at $1.50 for individuals with disabilities or with children to get to anywhere within the Warren County and to other 6 locations outside of the county. And these could be medical, non-medical runs. Actually, a lot of our population are people that are using this to get to work. Again, their buses, and they're equipped with wheelchairs and fully ADA compliant. And I am, that's all I have today, but I'm just very thankful that you gave me the opportunity to come here and think of us when your clients are in need of transportation needs.
All righty, Josh. Well, thank you so much for your great presentation on Valley Transport. It is an essential service, as you said, for those in our community, especially to get to where they need to go. All right. So now that we've wrapped up all tonight's presentations, we could probably open up now for any questions or comments to cover any of the services that we showcased this evening from our presentation presenters and organizations. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to chime in now. But I guess if I could start off, like Sach, so do you, out of curiosity, have you had any clients that had maybe a guide dog with them? Do you guys accommodate that type of service? Okay.
Absolutely. Guide dogs are allowed on valley vehicles and on transit vehicles, and obviously there isn't a charge.
Sure.
Yeah, but we have, while I know our service isn't targeted towards visually impaired, but we do serve a population that uses this. And above all, we understand the need for independence, not just for the visually impaired, but also for the elderly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And that's good to hear.
I had two things. This is Jim Sherk. Sach, first of all, I wanted to really give you kudos. I've been using Warren County transportation for, I guess, probably since I retired in 16, maybe 17, off and on. Not as frequently since my wife retired a couple of years ago, but another transportation company had the contract until recently, and I can say the difference in service with Valley has been very refreshing. And I mean, I've used the service to take me someplace to go fishing, or, you know, it's not limited to really anything as long as it's within the county. So
just so wonderful to hear, Jim. We don't
Yeah.
often get to see the clients, and
Yeah.
you have made my day.
Yeah, well, and pass that along. I really the flexibility. It's again, it's not like calling an Uber. You have to schedule it, but it's been a breath of fresh air. Then my second question or comment was directing to Fred. I heard you talk about blind tennis. Is there such a thing as blind pickleball and a pickleball ball that beeps or something like that?
Yeah, Jim, we worked so hard on this. We could not develop a ball
Okay.
that would make consistent noise that would fly true.
Okay.
I worked with a group called May We Help.
Uh-huh.
If anyone knows them, they're a bunch of retired and student engineers that get together. They've made a ton of stuff for us, including 3 showdown tables, because we couldn't buy them. And we just could not come up with it.
Okay. I'm visually impaired. I mean, I can hit the ball if I can see it, but sometimes it's behind me when I finally see it. So, and then a lot of times I don't see it at all. So I was just curious. Okay.
Yeah, I feel you. I have monocular vision myself, and one of the games that frustrates me most is tennis because I don't have that binocular disparity. I have a feeling I need it for pickleball too, which is why I haven't tried it yet.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
I have a question for Mary. Could you talk a little bit about how the individual education plan assists a student who is vision impaired? What does that plan do for that 14 or 15, 16-year-old high school student?
So what'll happen is that they will receive services through it, through the plan. They can get maybe preferential seating, or they may get extra time on tests, or maybe they get breaks depending on, what's going on with their vision. I mean, a lot of connection through other agencies. And as was mentioned from Children's, there's a lot of interconnecting with them and their reports. Most of my kids that I have are receiving services through children's or UC ophthalmology or both. And they are very cognizant of the reports. The teachers for the visually impaired have those reports, and they may assist them with, like I went to a meeting yesterday and kid needed his laptop, a new laptop. And so they were working with him at the end of the meeting to make sure that all of his accessibility features were set up so that he had a larger mouse pointer and that his Zoom Text Fusion was set up properly, because he needs that both magnification and screen reading. So there's a lot of different things they can do. They can also get potentially orientation and mobility if they need that. A white cane may be provided, or they may get, I have a student who gets to leave class early and also gets elevator privileges in the school because navigating stairs takes them a while. So they get that extra time. They get to leave 5 minutes early to get that extra time to navigate the hallways safely and independently. So there's lots of things that can happen under the IEP for services. But then where we come in is that we would want to coordinate with the school, because the school's going to identify interests, possible career assessment, look at interests that they may have for future jobs. And we can help provide maybe some career exploration training where they can look into that career, see what's needed, if that's something that they're able to do, or what the future training looks like for that. Then we can move into like options of training after high school and help them with that and help them navigate those. But we want to coordinate with the school so that we can provide those services together. And then the IEP will also look at what type of maybe modifications they may need also to the curriculum. Do they need additional time, or do they need extra half assignments because of eye fatigue, stuff like that? So that the plan's going to look at all those factors.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Jamie, I had a question with the guide dogs, because you guys said you were national. And first and foremost, everybody, again, amazing presentations. It's like so awesome to hear just all the programs that are going on, and like I was trying to write them all down. But for the guide dogs, what's the timeline? You probably said it, of like application to actually receiving and all the things there.
Yeah, so that one's a little hard from the time that someone first reaches out to us, because everyone's a little different with their pace of getting paperwork and doctors' forms filled out and sent back to us. But from the time that we've accepted them onto our wait list to the time that they get called into class, it can be a range of 1 to 2 years. And I say a range because we do by best match. So we will look at, the next dog's ready, and we have all of our applicants' information, and we'll do some pre-matching before someone comes into class, because we want to make sure that we have some good matches for them once they get here. And we'll also spend about a month prepping the dog for that specific individual. So especially if like someone had all our dogs work on the left side, if someone had like a left arm amputation, we would take that dog and switch and train the dog on our right side before that person came in. We just had a 6'7" student come into our class, and that dog's trainer was almost 5 foot. So the dogs do overhead obstacles. So she was like, whoa, okay. So she had to start teaching her dog to look way, way, way up for those overhead obstacles like tree branches. So we will also kind of prep them for them. So, but yeah, it could be a range from 1 to 2 years. And I know that's a long wait time, but having the matching done that way makes it a much higher likelihood that someone's going to be successful with their dog, because we took the time to make sure that we had the right dog for them. And since I'm already chatting, I also wanted to bring up that we do also train therapy and facility dogs. We just had 4 dogs selected to go to Columbus Children's Hospital, that program up there, to be therapy dogs within their hospital. So if anyone is interested in having a dog at a school or anything like that, that's something else that Pilot Dogs also provides.
Thank you for that. I just know that it's like different between all the different organizations that do timing. And again, the dogs have to go through training and then the person and paperwork. So yeah, there's someone on my board that's really asked the questions like that. So appreciate the answer.
Of course, yeah. I think it's one of the top concerns for anyone applying at any of the guide dog schools. It's one of the first couple of questions is, what is the wait time, for sure.
Great, thanks.
Of course.
I had a question for Fred. So, you mentioned the art event. That sounds like a really, really cool event. Are you all hosting that, or I don't know if I can't remember if you said you hosted it. But when are you doing that event again in the future?
So the art thing, it seems right now, Ethan, to be a one-shot deal because at the university they're refining their technology, right? So the sculptor that I mentioned, who is either blind or visually impaired, like the gloves offer haptic feedback, and they're making things smaller and less bulky as they go along. The thing that I didn't mention was that the art professor had the sculptors bring in an item of significance that was meaningful to them and tell the story about it. So when the time came to 3D print the sculptures, it inspired certain color choices and then adornments post-production when they 3D printed these things. So right now, I don't have another event in the future. But it's something that, I keep in touch with the folks at Penn State. And so I want to do it again, and I want to do it with young people. This one was with adults. What else was I going to say with that? Yeah, as the technology gets better and stuff like that, I think, it could be a really good thing locally. The program, if you want to look it up, is called Together Tacit. TACIT, Together Tacit, at Penn State University.
Okay, awesome.
Yep. Thanks for the question, Ethan.
Do we have any more questions or comments before we wrap things up? Well, if not, I just want to thank everyone who was on tonight's call for all that wonderful information about your organizations. Just so you know, our next Cincy Source forum will be in February of 2025. It's kind of crazy to say that out loud, but it's going to be in the year 2025. And our founding member team, Jim, Lisa, and Dr. Lyons, Michelle and I, we're all going to reconvene to discuss some presenters for the next forum and the specific date in February that we'll select. But however, anyone that's on tonight's call, if you have any ideas for any groups or organizations that you feel would be a good fit for our forum, please feel free to just send them our way. We would love to see any more organizations in your area to share with everybody. So the recording, as I mentioned earlier, will be available by sometime next week. All contact information for all of tonight's presenters and previous presenters will be available on the Cincy Source page. So in that follow-up email, I'll make sure to link to our page so you can get all that contact information. So please keep a lookout for that email that I will be sending out next week. And thank you all again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all on our next forum call. So everyone, have a great evening.